In this video, you'll learn how to fetch JSON data using jQuery. Fetching JSON data with jQuery is very straightforward using the jQuery.ajax method. So here I've set up jQuery.ajax and I'm passing to that method an object, and that object has a couple of properties. The first property is URL and the second property is success. So let's talk about URL first. So the URL, pretty simple, is the URL that we're going to point to get our JSON. Now this particular URL I'm using just points to some JSON, and you notice there's a sleep parameter, and all that does is allow me to slow down execution of the request. So if I set this to 3, you can see it's going to take a little bit longer for the request to complete. And I do that just so it's easy to see the request in progress. When it happens really fast, it makes it a little bit harder to see what's going on. The second property is called success, and that's a function that will be executed when our AJAX request is successful. And this function will always receive as its first argument the actual data that's returned. And here I'm just using something called jQuery JSON View plugin to show that data in the DOM. But the most important thing to keep in mind is that when you use the AJAX method, the jQuery AJAX method, you pass it an object, and an object requires at least 2 properties: URL, which is the URL of the JSON data, and then success, which is a method, and that function will be executed when the request is successful, and the first argument will always be the data that is received. So if I refresh the page, you can see that the request takes a few seconds and then it's showing the page. If I speed this up a little bit, you'll see that the request will probably be, it's much quicker this time. It's kind of like instantaneous. But if I slow it down here and I'll make this 5 seconds, you can see it takes much longer, and then the request eventually succeeds and we see the data in the page. If you found this video helpful, you can subscribe to my channel by clicking the red subscribe button right under the video. You can also take a look at my blog, where there are many articles and tutorials about web development. Thanks very much for watching.